Welcome to the Zadzooks Happy Hour, a podcast exploring the latest in film, TV, games, toys, and more. And now, somewhere in a secret bunker outside of Washington, D.C., here are your hosts, 30-year veteran of pop culture and entertainment news for the Washington Times, Joseph Zadkowski, and pop culture, technology, and space aficionado, Todd Stowell.
That's fine.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems with this movie. I threw it right in again.
Thanks a lot.
So off guard.
You don't even know what we're talking about.
No, I don't even know what day it is, so it's all good.
Good. And I'm the guy who took the nap.
Yeah. Call you up.
Thanks for calling me up and waking me up.
Call you up, what, 45 minutes before we're going to do this. Hello?
I need as much energy as I can to deal with you.
And then you go home and you're just exhausted, right?
I'm exhausted. Then I got to go watch another movie. Terrible life.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Practice drums.
So, do you want to do the one that only you have
Aren't we
seen?
supposed to discuss this before we go on air?
Well, I'm just asking
Okay.
you. What's the order here?
No, let's do Widows.
Okay. Viola Davis, she's rocking in this movie.
There is a massive cast, and what I had said in my review was the cast is so big that they can throw away guys like Robert Duvall, Liam Neeson, and John Bernthal whenever they want.
You know, I have to
throw a little bit there, and he's done.
I don't know if you know this or not. Why is it that Bernthal's name would be before Duvall and Liam Neeson? Because it says and with Robert Duvall and Liam Neeson in the end. Why is that? Because
I have no
Liam
idea.
Neeson had way more screen time than John Bernthal did.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
Is it because he is a lead, like an A-list actor, and because he's not in it, putting him at the end somehow gives some other feature to it?
I guess. I've seen that before,
Yeah, I
where
mean-
at the end they'll go, and featuring.
Yeah, it's just I never really understood it, but Duvall looks old in this, man. I don't know if
Well, he is old.
I don't know if they look like they aged him even more. And
I like it that it's in Chicago, too. I enjoy that. The whole alderman thing.
yeah.
So what's your... this is a heist film.
It is a heist film.
If you listen
it's a revenge heist film.
If you listen to the featurette, it's a very important and socially relevant heist film.
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't.
Here's the thing. I didn't even think anything about that. What I saw was a group of women whose husbands were criminals.
Yep.
And had basically left them all with nothing.
Yep.
And somehow managed to figure out, or were forced into completing the job that their husbands failed.
Yep.
And decide to take it on. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
They have nothing left to gain or to lose by doing it.
And I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I
mean the clever twist at the end really isn't much of a clever twist.
No.
If you've watched films like this before.
You know, the thing is you could see that coming a mile away.
Right.
You know, the other person that they just completely threw away was Carrie Coon.
Oh, yeah.
She's like...
I don't even understand how that happened.
I don't understand.
She's like done.
I don't understand. She
has like one scene.
No, she's got 2 scenes. And that's it.
Right.
But
like I said, they were rich.
Bernthal is just...
This Steve McQueen director is pulling a lot of weight.
He's got a lot of cast members.
What did he do?
Oh.
Wait, didn't he do that horror film?
You got to be more specific about that. Which horror film?
The one with the African American guy visiting the liberal white parents.
No, that's Jordan Peele.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then what did Steve McQueen do?
I have no idea.
Once again,
I know,
so glad I'm prepped for this.
I know the name, but I'm going to say this.
Wait, wasn't he in that escape film?
Escape film?
On a motorcycle?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
Or is that a different one? That's a different Steve McQueen.
Yeah. You mean where he's driving the bullet?
Yeah, that's it.
So Viola Davis
is so funny. I crack myself up.
Shredded in this movie.
What do you mean shredded?
Did you see the muscle definition on her? She is
Oh,
ripped.
12 Years a Slave.
Oh.
Nice upbeat film.
She is ripped in this movie. Like, very in shape.
Yeah, but when I look at her, all I see is the commander in Suicide Squad.
Oh, come on. Come on, I can give that
What a
pass.
mistake that was.
I can give that a pass. Hey, speaking, we're going to take a quick tangent.
Oh.
Deadshot.
Is
Will Smith is out.
Yep. Who's in?
Idris Alba is in.
I
as
like
Deadshot.
him a lot.
I like him a lot.
So,
Yep.
working for me.
I'm okay with it. Back to Widows. Listen,
That much, huh?
I liked her character. I did not really care at all about the backstory around the whole political.
And they build that up, right? That takes a lot of time.
For no reason. The payoff is just.
I would have rather have had another car chase or something blow up.
Yeah.
Frankly.
I mean,
because this is just insane.
The fact that they do the thing that they do with relatively little resistance,
right,
relatively little resistance and no repercussions,
right,
is mind blowing to me. So, the acting is really good. The story is just kind of weak in places, and it's hard. Like you're getting set up to a point where you think there's going to be a big payoff, and it's just not there.
Right. No, I'll agree with that. But I liked it. I mean, I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
And compared to Ocean's 8, it's like Citizen Kane.
Well, probably.
I'm just telling you.
But the thing is again, Viola Davis, man, she's such a good actor.
Yeah.
That she just
do anything.
She takes control of that screen, and she's just got the tenacity, the look on her face when it's a serious moment or when she's angry, or that moment where she's screaming after she finds out her husband's dead.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie. Like, that's just top quality
and
acting.
This is based on a 1983 British TV show?
What's the show?
I don't know. You got to be that specific all the time? I throw a nugget out, and you got to make it make me look bad.
Wait, so say that again? What would you say?
It's based on a 1983 British TV show.
That's awesome.
Thanks. See? I'd like to watch the show because it's probably really good.
Well, I mean, if they made a movie on it, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they were making. I will say, I spend most of my time when I'm watching TV shows on Netflix. It's like British crime drama, and that stuff is good.
What's the name of that show with Tennant and the woman who won Best?
Broadchurch.
Yeah.
Olivia
Is it still on Netflix?
You bet.
I got to watch that.
Dude, I'm telling you, it is intense.
I just finished Rescue Me, so I got to...
How many seasons?
7.
7?
Yeah.
And now I forget. Did he leave and come back? Or
no.
No.
They did a short in season 7.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. I just remember he was like in and out of love triangles all the time.
Boy, I don't know anything about that. Yeah, in the show itself.
That's what I'm saying. In the show itself, he's like, it's all over the place. Yeah.
Okay, so what are you giving this?
C+.
Wow. Whew. I'm going to give it a B because I didn't hate it. I liked it. And I had to sit through Ocean's 8. Which is another female heist film, if you don't know.
I just have a hard time. I mean, the acting is phenomenal, but the story is just so predictable.
That's fine.
It's hard to give it anything more than that.
Now, speaking of Olivia Colman, I did watch what she won for, The Favorite.
And? Did she deserve it?
You know what? She didn't deserve it.
Oh, really?
No. You know why? Because Rachel Weisz was much better and had a lot more screen time and had a lot more to say in the movie.
And I picked her for supporting actress.
And Emma Stone was equally impressive in this movie.
So that's the one thing I never really understood. If you have more screen time, but yet you're like, how are you relegated to supporting actress? You know what I mean?
Well, Olivia played the Queen, so I guess that in itself says you're the star of the
Queen
movie.
She's Queen Anne, right?
She's Queen Anne. 18th century England. She's in bad shape. She's sick.
Mm-hmm.
Her best friend, who she's having a love affair with, Sarah Churchill, the Duchess of Marlborough, is Rachel Weisz. And Abigail shows up. She's a former aristocrat and a cousin of Sarah, and Abigail starts hitting on the Queen, and the Queen eventually turns her favor toward Abigail. Now, are the characters real? Yes. Did any of this happen? Nah, not really. So it's kind of historical fiction.
Revisionist history?
Yes, but not like Queen.
So you mean Bohemian Rhapsody?
It's a weird movie. It's a really funny movie. It's like dark comedy kind of funny.
No, it's British.
Do you ever remember seeing Richard Lester's Three Musketeers with like
Kiefer Sutherland, that one?
No. Go back even further. Like Christopher Lee was the bad guy. Raquel Welch was the hot babe.
I think I remember watching that one.
Richard York, I believe. I can't remember who else was in it.
Was it Dick York or Dick Sargent?
Not Dick Sargent. Who was in Logan's Run? Michael. You are no help
I did
tonight.
not watch Logan's Run, dude.
Good
that's
golly.
Well before my time.
Anyway, this movie reminded me a lot of that because it's very burlesque. It's very funny, and there's stuff going on that you look at and go, wow. And also, the cinematographer shot most of it through fisheye lenses. So it skews the show.
Is it because it's looking through a keyhole or just because he felt like doing it?
They felt like doing it. A lot of wide angle and a lot of fisheye.
Oh.
But it works.
Really?
It's good. This is a great movie, okay? It's not an action blockbuster, but it's fun. And I'm giving this one an A- because it's that good. I enjoyed it a lot. There's only one extra 22-minute overview of the production. Whatever. I don't need that. The Favorite was one of my favorites. See how I did that?
So now you have to watch the movie with Glenn Close to determine whether or not she should have won the Oscar.
I thought Olivia Colman did a great job, but she spends a lot of time in pain and screaming. So not sure you really should give somebody an Academy Award.
But you know what? That's hard to pull off.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's got to be exhausting to be screaming and retching and...
And you know the way this thing's shot and the way these people dress, it also kind of looks like a horror movie.
Well, yeah.
Because of the guys with the powdered wigs and they're like going down candlelit corridors and stuff.
I can see that.
It's kind of creepy.
I can see that.
Anyway, A-. I enjoyed it.
So I'm watching this. I watched this show that we talked about maybe a year ago. It's an Australian show that the first season was called Secret City.
Okay.
And the next one is Secret City. I think it's Under the Eagle. It's weird that they changed the name of the show. It's the same cast. It's this one's based upon the fact that a house exploded with a member of Parliament who was killed, or his family was killed, and you end up finding out that it's a drone that blew it up, and that it might actually be the country's drone. And you get the perspective of what Australia thinks of the United States and how the United States thinks of Australia as its like personal like play toy.
What's this on?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's really,
You must have been really bored one night.
No, you know what? It's a really good political / crime drama.
Okay.
It's obviously completely fictitious. The woman who stars in it was the lead in the Fox show Fringe, which was out a few years ago. It was a J.J. Abrams show.
Yeah.
So she is the lead. She is a disgraced reporter. In the first season, she gets arrested because she has state secrets, and they pass basically a spy law that says if you're caught with documentation that includes state secrets, you go to jail. So in the second season, she's a disgraced reporter. But it's really, really good. I'm not really hyping it up that well. But I think it's really well acted. And the weird thing is there's two shows that have come out around the same time that have to do with intelligence and how the U.S. uses Australia for Pacific and some European intelligence.
Yep.
And how both shows basically indicate that the U.S. is screwing them. So it's just it's interesting to see from that point of view.
Believable.
From a different country. Oh, well, of course it's believable.
Right.
I mean...
It's as believable as looking at a nail clipper with a spoon on the end.
Yeah.
Is that real?
No, it's not a spoon. It's like little kid nail clippers.
Okay, God, that made me nervous. I'm like, so basically you can clip your toenames and eat ice cream at the same time? How does that work?
And you know what? Innovation, baby.
All right, I took you off topic again.
You didn't.
Speaking of off topic, you got HBO?
No.
No. So you didn't get to watch Neverland? That Michael Jackson train wreck? Have you heard enough about it?
All I can say is that it is, I feel like, from what I've heard, it is left to interpretation as to whether or not you think these guys are telling the truth, and that there's not enough concrete evidence. And because he's dead...
He can't defend himself.
And we all know the guy was a creep. He had a number of charges brought against him multiple times where he was in court and somehow managed to get off.
And if the one guy had, in theory, told the truth, he would have been burned. He would have been done.
Yeah.
During the criminal trial.
I just don't... it's apparently very controversial.
Yeah.
And you either believe it wholeheartely, but the thing is we all know Michael Jackson was a creep, and we all know he was probably doing this kind of stuff. I mean, clearly.
He had some problems.
The guy, I mean, he clearly, because of how he died, he had problems where he could only take propofol to go to sleep.
Right.
Like, he had some very serious demons, and I think as a kid, horrible things happened to him.
Parents destroyed him.
I think he was constantly longing for his childhood.
Yep.
So, it's I don't know. I don't think I can stomach it.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that he's a terrible guy.
It's hard to watch the mothers trying to justify what happened, too, because they can't really, and they give up at the end.
How do they defend the actions of this?
They can't.
No.
They can't.
I'm surprised the kids even really speak to him.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Are we taking a break?
We should take a break. We're going to come back and
talk about a funeral or something. What else?
We're going to talk about more video games.
Hey!
Yeah.
I'll stick around for that.
You like that, right?
Communities Digital News, built by the writers and editors that deliver the news 24 hours a day. Visit comdiginews.com. That's COMMDIGI news.com. And support the next evolution in news.
You get in these conversations with me and you don't tape any of them. Isn't that the whole point of the show?
It's fine. So, did you see the news that came out today?
I need you to explain it to me like a normal human would be explaining it.
So, Rotten Tomatoes introduced something new recently where the audience cannot rate a film until it has been released.
Okay.
Apparently, because what you were saying, apparently because of Brie Larson and people not liking her in the role of Captain Marvel, 12,384 people have given Captain Marvel a 38% liked it rating on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas the critics have it at 79.
Right. So what does that tell you?
And there have been articles coming out about this today, about how this is a real problem, and it's essentially internet trolls now trying to influence what people do and don't watch.
Yep.
Which is such a joke. So
you mean kind of like critics?
Well, but these are amateur, unprofessional critics.
You mean kind of like critics?
Yeah. So kind of like you and I.
Yeah.
So there's a gentleman by the name of Matthew Licona from the San Diego Reader, who is a top critic, and this is what he says, and I'm not sure he's far off from the other reviews that I've read.
Okay.
There's a lot of glowing reviews, obviously, but he says the film may be about women breaking their shackles, but the lead actress feels kept in check for much of the picture. Humor winds up being provided by Sam Jackson's Nick Fury and the rest of the cast, and, well, it just ain't Brie Larson bringing it. So, don't know what you say about that. I mean, people had a problem with Wonder Woman's casting initially.
Right.
They didn't like it, and then the movie came out, and it was amazing.
They're also saying she's real pouty face through the movie. She's not showing. She's always dour. But whatever.
Guess what? She won an Oscar for being dour.
Dour, yeah.
And that movie
That
Room
seemed to work. Yeah.
And people really crap on her because I just went back and watched Scott Pilgrim, and she's in that.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a wonderful movie, which did not get the love it desperately needs and deserves. And apparently, she used to she had a couple pop albums out, and so she can sing. And just in general, the stuff that's out there about her for some reason is not necessarily totally nice.
Right.
But she seems like a nice person. I mean, she maybe, rubs people the wrong way as any other celebrity would, but
right.
I don't get the sense that she's terrible. I mean, all the interviews I've seen her with, she seems fine. So I don't know why people hate her for this.
I am totally screwing this up, but there was an interview out there with some guy, snowflake-ish guy, some newscaster where he kept apologizing to her for everything white men have done. I'm probably getting this wrong, but it was pretty bad to watch. And she was, thanking him. It just, I don't know what's going on. There is some weird vibe going on in this movie, and we'll just see how much. Supposedly it made $150 million already.
Well, what doesn't make any sense to me is that I don't really feel like, there was really not any negative buzz on the trailer. It was seen pretty well favorable. Her late night interviews have been fine. So what are people complaining about?
I don't know.
Or is it just
they're not happy?
Or is it just that trolls want to troll it because they have nothing better?
Because they can.
I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But, will I watch it in the theaters? No.
No.
But I just don't go to the theaters that often. And
Avengers is the next thing I'm going to go to a theater for.
Is Avengers out before Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Endgame.
That's what I'll go. Maybe we'll go.
Let's go. We should place bets on who's going to die permanently.
Okay. We can do that.
We can definitely do that.
Okay. We're going to go part 2 now with Division 2.
Division 2
Tom
part 2.
Clancy's The Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
We had a field trip, and we learned a lot about the game. It's coming out this week, March 15th. We're going to be reviewing it soon. We're going to start. Todd will need about 3 or 4 days to download it, and then we'll be in action in Washington, D.C. after it was flooded and a pandemic has hit.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at a lot of great architecture that has fallen apart in Washington, D.C., and I was able to talk to the guy who put this and crafted the way it looked. His name's Chad Chatterton, and he was the lead environmental artist, and he, with a group of 10 other artists, spent roughly 3 years designing the environments in this game, which include an exploding space shuttle in the Air and Space Museum, right?
Yeah.
Lincoln Memorial's a mess. The National Archives are a mess. The Capitol building's a mess. The White House is a mess. Everything's a mess. The reflecting pool's a mess.
Well, the reflecting pool's a mess.
The Washington Monument's a mess, so people won't notice the difference.
Yeah, no one will know the difference between the reflecting.
That was I was worried about. I put up a slideshow, and people are going to look at it and go, so what's different?
What's different about the reflecting pool? There's trash in it. It's fine.
Anyway, I have a fascinating interview with Chad that we're going to run now.
All right. Well, Chad, it's up
Take
to you
it away,
now.
buddy.
The environment artists on the division work closely with level designers. Level designers propose an initial block out of a space. So they define the player flow and the footprint and, really importantly, where the covers will be, because those metrics are important for good quality, tight gameplay. So then the environment artists come in and make that a reality. We define how it looks. We iterate on the layout. And we're the ones who really care about the details of, in this case, Washington, D.C., how it feels and looks in the player's hands. So we come in and build the environment.
So that's an overwhelming task. How many people are on your team?
So my particular team, I have around 10 people. That's environment artists, also people that work specifically on the base of operations. So in this case, that's the White House. Also, people who work on the settlements, and also lighting artists as well. But I'm focused on missions for the most part. There's open world teams. There's also mission and open world teams in other studios. So it is a large task.
Ballpark, how many hours do you think it took you guys to deconstruct or reconstruct Washington, D.C.?
It's impossible to say, really.
Thousands? Yes. Hundreds?
I mean, we would work, it could be 9 months on a mission.
Okay.
Really? On a single mission.
So the game has been in development for like 3 years?
Something like that.
3 years?
Yeah.
Well, let's get specific. I have interest in what you guys did on the National Mall in particular.
Yes.
What was your philosophy and what did you affect on the mall? What's going on the mall now?
Yeah, so the mall for us is really important because it provided one of the points of contrast from Division 1 set in New York. There's no open space like that in Manhattan, of course, and it's a space that's quite particular to DC. The views and sightlines are beautiful and open, and also strategic in a way, like everything is lined up from the Lincoln Memorial to the Capitol. You cross over the Washington Monument and you look at the White House, and then you get a bird's eye view and you see how all these roads become, for example, evac routes in a time of crisis. So it's quite difficult in a third-person cover-based shooter to deal with wide open spaces, but we wanted to explore the different kinds of challenges that this would bring to the franchise. And the interesting thing is that in talking with experts on our research trips, talking to FEMA experts, for example, we hear that this kind of an open space becomes critical for setting up National Guard bases, for refugee camps. In our case, we went there, and then we had another layer on top. It got quite dark, where you see mass graves between the Washington Monument and the Capitol. And you also see the impact of the infrastructural collapse in DC. So we looked at real-world flood data, looked at where those flood footprints affect the landscape, and also what would happen if the storm drain system that's so important to DC, keeping in mind the floods of 2006, for example, if they were to collapse, then what areas would that impact? And
so you guys literally flooded DC as part of the story.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and you see it. It's not. Some of it is still flooded. Some of it you see there was flooding that's receded. But yes.
So let's have an example of how you changed some of the monuments or memorials. What was your theory on how you were going to change the Lincoln Memorial?
Yeah. Okay. So the Lincoln Memorial and the memorials in general, I would say, we try and reflect the state of the world at a macro level, at a micro level on the memorial. So you see the Washington Monument is damaged from the fighting. You see the Capitol is damaged, and the Lincoln Memorial also shows a history where the Joint Task Forces, the Alliance forces in the game, set up evac routes via the Lincoln Memorial across the Arlington Memorial Bridge. Then those forces thinned out and they abandoned the site, and this is visibly evident. And then you have an enemy faction coming in and taking over. So there's actual superficial damage to the Lincoln Memorial, but it's also occupied. And the real exciting aspect of it is what happens underneath in the undercroft of the memorial.
Can you tell us what's going on there?
Yes, I think so. So the enemy faction, the True Sons in this case, which is like the paramilitary type of faction, they are hiding out in the undercroft and gathering reinforcements there. It's like a barracks for them. And it's really interesting for us because developing a game based on a real city means that we give people on the street an opportunity to see behind the scenes where they wouldn't normally have access to.
Right.
And we ourselves didn't know about that space under the Link Memorial until Chloe was doing her research into it. And it nicely ties up also with the centenary anniversary coming up, if I get that right, whereby work is being done now on the memorial and on the Undercroft. And there's talk of having a museum down there and the like that we tie into.
Will history buffs appreciate what you've done? For example,
I hope so. I think
as they walk through the game, will they see like the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial? Will they see stuff like the Halt Gardens, the HAUPT Gardens in the around the Smithsonian Castle area? Is all that rendered and all that available?
Yes, it is. So I mean, we're covering most of Washington, D.C. in the footprint. Some of those locations will be so transformed they might not be recognizable almost, but they've all been considered, yes.
And how have you treated something like the World War II Memorial or the Vietnam Veterans Memorial?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good question. So we legally vet everything we do, and sometimes, for obvious reasons, you don't want players to be able to damage a memorial, like the World War II Memorial. So we recreated our own memorial in place. The sight lines are very important at that location. And for us, a very important thing happens at the location. So it's at a memorial site, but it's not the same memorial for legal reasons and out of respect.
Got it. Finally, are you pleased with the result of all the effort you put together?
Absolutely, yes. I think players are going to be very excited. It's an expanded. It's spatially and visually, it provides all kinds of new opportunities for players, tight spaces, wide open spaces, low rooftops that you didn't get in New York, and we focus exploration underground especially. So I think it's going to be very exciting for players to approach the tactical challenges in new ways in Washington, D.C.
All right, we're going to do last week's box office since the numbers won't be in while we're reviewing this. We can tell you that this week, the number one movie will be Captain Marvel, regardless of what the haters say or not. It's going to be number one.
Yeah,
Easily. But last week, it was How to Train Your Dragon.
People are loving that.
I guess. And then Tyler Perry's A Medea Family Funeral, the final film with the Medea character in it.
I am proud to say I have never watched a one. Not even for a second.
Then it's Alita, Battle Angel, was at number 3. Green Book, because of all the popularity around that, was number 4, which didn't make very much to even have. It didn't have to fight very hard.
Right.
And then Isn't It Romantic? Actually, wait a minute. I'm looking at this here, and something doesn't add up. We're going to go back and just check this one last time.
I can tell you that the Lego movie is far behind the Batman Lego movie.
Yeah,
it's
and
getting crushed by it.
And you know what movie I really, for some reason, thought was going to do well, and it really hasn't? Is that movie Fighting With My Family. Because the wrestling fan base is so diehard.
Yeah.
The one with Nick Frost.
Yeah.
And The Rock.
And nobody cares.
And Lena Headey from Game of Thrones is in it.
Oh, wow.
Vince Vaughn, Stephen Merchant. The main character is Florence. I think her last name is P-U-G-H.
I really need a Dodgeball Part 2. When's that coming?
Never.
Why?
You know what?
That was a great movie.
I want a Scott Pilgrim Part 2, and it's never going to happen. That movie,
but we will get a Zombieland Part 2. That's
year,
good, right?
This year. That movie, when you go back and watch it, man, does that play like a video game and a comic book.
Beautiful.
And I don't understand why. Is it just that Scott Pilgrim, the comic, wasn't that big?
Too obscure. It was too obscure.
But the casting in it is crazy.
Great.
Yeah. Chris Evans, Michael Cera.
Right. Before they were
Brie Larson.
Chris Evans.
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah.
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
I mean, these are
Great
huge people.
superstars now.
And, Edgar Wright is the director. And
Yeah.
Edgar's the man. Between that and Hot Fuzz. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yeah. It was good.
Did you like it?
It was all right.
I mean, it's really slow up until the last
Yeah.
part, and then it just goes, it's just bonkers.
It's all right in British sort of way.
It's British. I don't know.
You know.
I like British film. It's good. So, you got anything else?
Are we done?
Well, next
I don't
week.
even think it concluded the box office. What was your problem with it?
Nothing. I just
Okay.
was surprised
Got
at
it.
just how terrible it was.
All right.
I was like, maybe I'm looking at something wrong here.
Well, it's February. I mean, it just got into March.
Man, that Lego movie, what happened? It's got to be because there was so much time in between.
Yeah,
the
nobody
two.
cares.
Well, and Lego Batman was a smash.
Yeah.
And then they did did the Ninjago movie come out in theaters? Lego Ninjago, or was that straight to film? No, it came out in theaters,
Yeah.
but nobody watched it.
Right.
Well, Legos are expensive, man.
Well, tonight I'm watching Fantastic Beasts,
Crimes of
And-
Grindelwald
Cookie Creatures, whatever it's called. Yep.
and the Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yep. Then we're going to do a Mary Poppins thing.
I'm not doing that. I can't.
Are you watching Fantastic
Yeah,
Okay.
I have it.
All right.
I'll watch it.
All right, we'll talk
And
about
then-
that
and
next
then,
week.
um,
And then we'll get into more Division 2.
Well, you gonna have Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
All right, I'm gonna have Spider-Man. I'm gonna do. You know what? We're not gonna do Mary Poppins. We're gonna wait on that one.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay.
Because that's jam packed. You want to do Spider-Man,
Right.
You want to do a Harry Potter spinoff,
Yep.
And we're gonna do Division 2
Yep.
gameplay.
We hope so.
That's a packed show.
All
Yeah,
right.
packed show. All
right.
right. Until next time, we're gonna blow some stuff up in DC
Yep.
and go from there.
Thank you.